So, very, very good morning.
Good morning.
And I'm back after a short break. Wanted to talk to you about the anger part of it, and I'll tell you why I decided this particular topic. Early in the morning, I see a message from a girl who had dropped out. I'd met her some time back, and there was a palpable anger towards men in her life. I directed her to join Spiritual Solution Level 1 and she dropped out. She messaged saying that I was operated for cancer, young woman, married since 3 years. And I had realized, and she had realized as well, that there's a lot of anger suppressed and wanted to, reach out to her. However, beyond a point, we couldn't really continue. He dropped out, giving some valid reasons, which appear to be valid, and we didn't follow it up further. Here, suddenly, there's an SOS call saying that I need it. I can't even speak right now. However, there's an urgent need to detox myself from the emotional backlog. And she, on her own, agreed that there's a huge, huge, huge resistance to let go of the anger. And yet, logically, she understands that she manifested cancer because of this. Fortunately, Louis Hay has in detail mentioned how anger can cause cancer and how releasing anger can ease you out. Probably she went through the same. Even if we have this knowledge, even if we know it, even if we are aware, we really do not address anger. And there are several reasons, and I've just understood 3 reasons. It happens while growing up in childhood, where parents do not acknowledge your anger and systematically teach you how to suppress it, partly because you're a human, you're a woman, you're a civil person. It's only rowdy people who express their anger. Anger is not bad, but when suppressed and when it comes out like a soda water bottle effect, it can be destructive. But imagine if you suppress it so badly, would it not be destructive to your tissues? There's so many pathological disorders which can be generated because of your toxic emotional suppression. And one of them, the most powerful one, is anger. So the first reason is social consideration and the training. Second reason is fear of hurting others. So I might as well hurt myself instead of hurting somebody else, because if I let my anger out, it can damage somebody. Somebody can feel hurt. Relationships can break. I can damage the reputation of the family, so on and so forth, without realizing that one fine day, if it comes out, it's going to be toxic for everyone. And yet we don't know what to do with the anger that's already been suppressed for years. And at times it gets repressed and we don't even know that it's been repressed. So you usually appear to be very calm, very collected, very patient. But there's a volcano inside which never is seen by people who remain oblivious to it. And the third reason, a very powerful reason, is holding on to it. I want to hold on to it. I have a resistance in letting it out because anger makes me feel strong. I remember years back, there were serial bomb blasts in Mumbai. And we had offered, not just me and my team, to help people cope up with the emotional outbursts and, people were in severe pain at that time. And we had floated a free helpline where people can just call up and take help. Not a single person did that. And not even people from my team who knew the benefit of it, right? And later I was trying to understand what went wrong. I mean, did we have technical problem or did we have incorrect intent? Why would somebody not really go for the help that we are offering? And later, after speaking to a few people, I realized that most people in Mumbai didn't want to let go of that anger. They wanted to remember what happened to Mumbai because of this terrorist attack. Says, we don't want to forget this. We want to just remember it forever. I hate it. And they wanted to continue hating it, getting angry, because that gave a sort of power, so-called motivation, though that anger had no one. And yet everybody wanted to hold on to that anger. Isn't it stupid? Isn't it right? I mean, looking in retrospect, we find it meaningless because I wonder, the suppressed anger ever really helped anyone except creating more and more victim mindset. But yet we do that. We want to hold on to this anger so that we will not let somebody take advantage of us sometimes in the future. We want to hold on to this anger so that we will never appear weak because anger makes us feel strong from within. We want to hold on to this anger so that we always remember how badly we were treated. Interestingly, holding on to this anger damages you more than letting go of this anger, because when you're angry, you really do not have a greater insight. You do not have access to your subconscious mind and superconscious mind. You do not get a rational thought. And you do not even get deeper insights into why things are the way they are. And we often damage not only just ourselves, we often damage our relationship because we create barriers, we create unseen walls, we create distancing, we create so many unfavorable, unhealthy response systems that eventually what we try to avoid anyway happens. So, what's the remedy? What is the solution? Recognize that you have anger. Recognize that you can become stronger without anger as well. In fact, anger stems from frustration, sheer helplessness, and powerlessness. It's a mask, it's a defense to protect your powerlessness. So there's a deep sense of helplessness and powerlessness behind the aberrant volcanic layer of anger. Recognize that. Acknowledge this helplessness and powerlessness. Only when you'll recognize, you'll be able to offer some remedy for yourself. Recognize the need for inner empowerment rather than pseudo sense of power through your anger. And finally, I would say, love is the ultimate solvent. Dissolve it with love. When you're full of love, there won't be any anger. And even if there is an anger, it will create a beautiful outlet to channelize it in a very, very constructive way. So, as parents, encourage your children to express their anger in a non-destructive way. Encourage your children to communicate their frustration, their helplessness, and their powerlessness. Do not make them very helpless and powerless just because you're feeling helpless and powerless. they often become your soft target. And when you direct your anger towards them, or you suppress them, or you show your authority, you're creating further powerlessness and helplessness. Let them express. Let them let you know that they're feeling angry, they're feeling upset, they're feeling irritated. At least acknowledge, recognize, give them some way or a method to vent it out in a regular way on an ongoing basis so that they do not suppress. Figure out a constructive way to channelize your suppressed anger. And when that is done, recognize the reasons to feel powerless and helpless. And when that is done, figure out to understand your true strength and power. And when you remain in touch with the amazing powerhouse that you are, you lead an empowered life. And when you lead an empowered life, there's minimum or no scope of any anger. Of course, radical recitation will help you a lot. Keep doing it on a regular basis. Do some physical exercise that eases out the toxic charge, and eat more of a sattvic food so that you have healthier feelings and emotions. Have good sleep and do not deprive yourself from the sleep, and don't keep getting triggered by watching movies, serials, or listening to the stories that gives you further anger. So have a very calm, peaceful week. Enjoy your life ahead. I'm open to answers and questions. Feel free to ask if there is any.
Good morning, Atman.
Good morning.
Yeah, so I understand that stored anger would cause cancer, and depending upon what emotion it is, probably according to that, the minor chakra or that organ would be affected. What is it in the case of blood cancer, where blood is flowing in the entire body?
Yeah, so blood cancer is a very generalized term. You have platelets, you have red blood cells, and you have white blood cells. So to give you a general category, so platelet effect, I haven't heard of platelet cancers, but platelet gets affected, especially in dengue and all. When a child feels angry with self for not being able to bridge the family members. Okay. White blood cells often get affected when they fail to defend themselves or their parents. Or as an adult, when you fail to defend your loved ones or yourself or your material assets. Red blood cells get affected when you realize you haven't lived your life fully. So the anger for not living your life 100%. Okay. So generally it's a white blood cell that get affected. Basically, it's extreme form of vulnerability and anger arising out of that.
Thank you, Atman.
Most welcome, yeah. Okay, I see another question, just a sec. What are the practical ways to channelize anger other than communicating, especially for children? Communication is the best way. Listen to them when they show their anger. Okay. Help them acknowledge and talk it out. So if a child is banging the plate on the table, mother should be aware of that and speak by feeling angry. Yes. What happened? I hated my teacher. She did this. Let them vent it out. Let them talk it out. So in that conversation, if you don't give any advice, You don't pass any judgments. They will speak, 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 and come to their own conclusion and resolution. So that's the best way to do it. Teach them to write. And the third, but the least preferred option is to give them something to destroy, because it's toxic by then. So you can, of course, give them punching bag or a pillow if there is an old anger, but if there's a fresh anger, teach them to talk it out in a constructive way. That always helps. I'm also seeing another chat. Basically, as child, when we were unable, not letting go of the constant irritation, agitation, injustice, and unfairness feeling, it leads to anger. Yes. So children perceive unfairness in the dealings amongst cousins and siblings. Now, that's a subjective story at times, and not necessarily parents are being unfair. And yet you hold on to it and hold on to the feeling of being victimized, receiving end of unfairness. We all have gone through it sometime or the other, because fingers are not same, they are different for us. Same way for a parent, children, even if you keep saying all children are same for me, we try and rationally be very, very fair. So if you're distributing sweets, you will give one to each one, but there's always a little soft corner for one child for whatever reason. It could be out of sympathy, out of love, out of attachment, out of the precious associations that you have with the first child or the last child. There is, and children can perceive that. So if you see one of your children sulking, expressing unhealthy habits, give them an attention, recognize that you're feeling so, and stop saying lies. Children know you better than you know yourself. So they would recognize, acknowledge it, and acknowledge what they feel. And just saying, yes, I recognize what you're feeling itself can calm them down. Okay, so here we have cancer originating in kidneys. Kidneys store a lot of guilt. So just check it out. Why kidneys? What guilt? And anger for storing guilt or anger for making others feel guilty? Just check that out. Due to unknown suppressed anger, Priyanka says, if child doesn't want to channelize her talents, leading to sabotaging, that severe anger towards the authority figure. So the way to punish the authority figure is to punish yourself, because they know that if I punish myself, my parents will feel punished. So it's a very destructive way of getting even with the authority figure, and most of the time it's parents. It's a no-win situation. It's called passive-aggressive behavior. The best way to deal with these children is stop being authority figures to them and be friends. Give them the guidance and direction as friends rather than being an authority figure, and that would ease out a lot. Yeah. Okay, so this is such a vast topic. I think we can go on and on. I want you to think about what's happening. You can also ask questions in the Premium Members WhatsApp group, and we'll continue this dialogue forward. Today, you're going to work on suppressed anger and make sure that you ease yourself from any storage that you've had in the past and let go of that anger. You'll be doing a great favor to yourself. Thank you.
Atman, sorry.
Yes,
I've seen a lot of children. I have done it myself. When I was angry, I used to paint pictures and vent it out that way, because I was not very expressive about. So I never used to feel the urge to paint unless and until I was angry, and I was not dependent on painting, but that was what, like, I used to vent it out, and then I used to be my own self. And I later in life I got to know that parents want their children to go into creative classes where they would either explore their creativity, or probably that would be a good way to express themselves and know themselves well. Probably I may be wrong, but
No,
that
no,
is
no,
what
no.
my uh,
What- this
observation was.
yeah, this really helps. And before I even came to this radical and all the subconscious story, one of the ways was to just write, tear it off or burn it off. But yet you're being slightly destructive, not in paintings, but writing and burning, according to me, a little more of a destructive way to destroy the anger. Um, so if nothing else, you can help them with that. My son, when he used to be very angry, we used to encourage him to listen to Gayatri Mantra. So he had his own tape recorder. He would lock himself up in the room and listen to it, calm down, and then come and then talk. So we had that kind of training for him, because he used to have anger bouts and he was not allowed to hit his children, his sisters. That would give him further anger. And you know how it happens with children. So, but he had trained himself. Even today, that's the way he deals with it. He'll just listen to something and just calm down on his own, come to his own resolution, and then have one-on-one conversation. So when he is like kind of walled up, I know he's coping up with his anger. And when that gets over, he finds a moment to talk it out with me, but not when he's angry, because in the fits of anger, he may say something which can create further mess. That's what he learned as a child, but girls had different mechanisms. So each child will have, I think, different ways to do that. You'll also have your own way. So figure that out. All said and done, just recognize the toxic effect of anger and find out your own way. And if you have a better suggestion or more suggestions, please feel free to share, because that can help many parents helping their children and many adults helping themselves to detoxify themselves from the anger. Have a great time.